a lot of people feel so seen within our story. Like, I don't know, a lot of our supporters are like huge book readers and they love rom-coms. So there's like, oh my
Yes.
gosh, it's just so beautiful to see it happen in real time because it wasn't scripted. It was all natural. So to see it naturally happen in that way, I don't know, we just captivated the audience in that sense. So I truly feel like the first day I kissed Nick, and then he kissed me back the second day. It's like this cat and mouse game, and then they see him yearning. Like, you don't really see men yearning for women in this day and age. And then with him being a fair-skinned male, and I'm a dark-skinned female, but seeing me being loved out loud resonated with a lot of people in my community. It's like, oh, this is beautiful. Like, dark-skinned Black woman being yearned for and loved out loud by someone that looks like Nick. It's like, this is beautiful. Like, this is like healing the world in a sense because you don't see this often, especially not in real time. Yeah. Dark-skinned Black woman being yearned for and loved out loud by someone that looks like Nick. It's like, this is beautiful. Like, this is like healing the world in a sense.
How is she not embarrassed by this? Here you have an attractive woman who's talking about she was yearning for that type of love, and the fact that she's getting it from someone that looks like Nick, a white man, that it's healing the world. That might be the stupidest shit I ever heard. Maybe she should find a way to pour that love that she's yearning for from other people into herself so she don't get on here and embarrass herself the way she just did. And let's be honest, the only reason Nick even ended up with you is because Sierra got kicked off for saying some racist shit. So you weren't even his first choice. You're the second option. The only reason they pushed those two to be together is because all the racist stuff that was happening on that show. It was basically damage control. That's why even now, Nick is not claiming her as his girlfriend. Because again, we all know if Sierra was still on that show, that man would have never even looked your way.
You ever notice how people will twist your words just to start a fire? That's exactly what happened with Olandria. When she said she was healing the world in a sense by being with Nick. Now, instantly, folks ran with it like she declared her relationship was going to cure racism, end colorism, and dismantle every ism under the sun. But that's not what she said. And honestly, that's not what she meant. Let's break it down. Because this Nicolandria phenomenon isn't just about two people falling in love on a reality show. It's about history, desirability, and the way the world still reacts when a dark-skinned Black woman is loved out loud. When Olandria said healing the world, she wasn't saying her relationship was about to fix centuries of oppression. She was talking about the healing that happens when people get to see something that challenges a toxic narrative. The world she's talking about, that's the social imagination we all live in. A world where dark-skinned Black women are constantly told they're too much, not beautiful, not worthy of tenderness, not worthy of desire. So when she's loved openly, unapologetically, visibly, and when Nick, a conventionally attractive white man, doesn't hesitate to show that, it shakes the narrative. It forces people to confront their biases. And yeah, that is a kind of healing. I think it is. But let's put some respect on the history here. Olandria grew up in Alabama, the Deep South, a place where interracial marriages weren't even legal until 1967. Yes, I said 1967. That's the year of the Loving versus Virginia case. That is not ancient history. That's barely a generation and a half ago. So imagine growing up in that environment, in a family and a culture where race and love have always been politicized. For her to not only be in this relationship, but to be celebrated in it publicly or on national TV, that's heavy. That's history bending. And let's be real. Olandria went to a prestigious HBCU. She's steeped in Black pride. She knows what white supremacy looks like. And she knows damn well she's not positioning Nick as some type of white savior. What she's saying is, me as a dark-skinned woman being adored without hesitation, that's healing. Now here's where it gets even more interesting. The way Nick shows up for her. Let's compare for a second. Too often when we see Black men with non-Black women, it's not just love. They use the opportunity to put Black women down. Oh, Black women are too loud. They're too angry. They wear too much weave, too many wigs, too much makeup, too this, too that. It reeks of self-hate. of needing to diminish blackness in order to justify who they love. With Nick, you don't see that.
Nah, that. You want to? No. Here's why I don't date black women.
There's a running joke that black men and white women deserve each other, that they share the same functions in their community. Well, I believe there's more to this dynamic than meets the eye. When you examine their behaviors through family structures, patriarchal conditioning, and systemic power imbalances, a deeper pattern emerges. It's not simply attraction, but shared unhealed childhood wounds. Specifically, their respective resentment toward the dominant figures in their upbringing. And before we begin this conversation, I just want to start by saying not all interracial relationships are built off of this dynamic. But when you hear black men constantly comparing black women's behaviors to white women, they can't seem to find one nice thing to say about white women that doesn't involve comparing them to black women. This is why. Black men raised under strong black matriarchs under a world that still privileges patriarchy grow up resenting black women for failing to conform to idealized femininity. White women raised under the rule of patriarchy grow up resenting white men for their emotional neglect and conditional love. When they meet, they see each other as an escape and unconsciously a way to retaliate against the system that failed them. Black boys are often raised in a household where black women are the leaders. Financially responsible, emotionally resilient, and fiercely protective. But though these mothers are heroic in their survival, they are rarely soft. The demands of systemic racism force them to prioritize strength over tenderness, discipline over coddling. Black sons, however, grow up absorbing patriarchal messaging that equates femininity with nurturing, submission, and emotional indulgence. Qualities their mothers often couldn't afford to embody. The result? Many black men resent their mothers, and by extension, black women as a whole, for being too hard while giving absent black fathers a pass. When they meet white women who are socialized to perform femininity as patriarchy prefers, gentle, accommodating, emotionally expressive, submissive, they mistake privilege for a virtue. They don't realize that black women's toughness isn't a flaw, it's the cost of survival in a world that refuses to protect them. White women, meanwhile, are raised under a distinct but equally damaging dynamic. Their father, the gatekeeper of patriarchal powers, often dote on them as daddy's little girl, but deny them autonomy. They are sexualized, stifled, sheltered, and taught that their value lies in their obedience and their beauty, not in their intellect or their independence. Result? Many white women grow up starved for male attention, and not the condescending protection of their father, but real emotional engagement. When they meet black men, who often offer a blend of strength and emotional depth, absent in emotionally repressed white men, they see an alternative. Unconsciously, dating black men becomes an act of defiance, a way to reject white patriarchy that confines them. This attraction isn't purely organic. It's a transactional rebellion. Black men get the softness they associate with ideal femininity, which is really just white women's socialization under patriarchy. And white women get the attention they associate with liberation, which is really just black men's unmet need for maternal affection. Black men mistake privilege, i.e., white femininity, for superiority, failing to see that black women's strength is what allowed them to survive. White women mistake rebellion, dating outside of their race, for revolution, failing to see that they are still playing by patriarchy's handbook. This dynamic doesn't just hurt individuals, it reinforces systemic division. Black women are left marginalized, their sacrifices ignored while white women reap the benefits of their labor, and white men face no real consequences, their power structure remaining intact while they scapegoat interracial dating as the problem. Society continues to pit black men and white women against their communities, framing their union as progressive when it's really just patriarchy in disguise. The solution isn't to shame Black men and white women for their choices, to expose the system that engineered these desires in the first place. Black men must reckon with their internalized patriarchy and stop punishing Black women for their resilience. White women must recognize that dating Black men isn't activism. It's often just another form of compliance. Both must ask, am I truly loving this person? Or am I using them to heal a wound I don't understand? Until we address these root issues, the cycle will continue. A false rebellion that changes nothing, while the real work of dismantling patriarchy remains undone. So this is why Black men and white women often have the highest divorce rates, because their union is really based off of unhealed trauma. Like I said, not all interracial Black men and white women couples, but some, right? This is why those Black men who can't express their love for white women without comparing them to Black women continue to do this. The unhealed maternal wound.
With Nick, Olandria doesn't have to deal with all the stupid issues that they say comes along with when Black women date white men.
When I walked in, like, you were one of the most beautiful women I've ever seen. And I told Taylor that the first few days.
Really?
I was like, yeah, I think you're super attractive and beautiful.
You make me blush.
She's one of the most attractive women I've ever seen in my lifetime.
You see him prioritizing Olandria, holding her hand, speaking about her with admiration, uplifting her in every way. You see genuine care, not performance. That's why this feels so different. That's why it resonates. It's not about Nick being white. It's about how Nick loves Olandria and how rare it still feels to see a dark-skinned Black woman centered and adored in that way on a global stage. And here's something else worth noting. The only people who have been capturing the substance of Nicolandria, the depth of it, have been white interviewers and journalists. Meanwhile, a lot of Black media and social spaces are either downplaying the relationship or reacting defensively. And that says something. It reveals how deep the wounds still are when it comes to desirability, race, and who gets to be seen as lovable. Nicolandria has become a mirror. People aren't just watching them. They're confronting their own internalized biases. And that discomfort, that's where the backlash comes from. Let's also not forget how Olandria entered Love Island. When she walked into that villa, she was laser focused on finding Black
We don't even have a handshake. Ain't that something? Me and you. I don't got a handshake with nobody.
Maybe you just not like.
She didn't even notice Nick at first, even though he was already pursuing her. That's crucial because it shows she wasn't out here chasing whiteness or looking for validation outside her community. She came in expecting love from her own, but love surprised her. And that's the point. She found it in a place she wasn't expecting it. And it honored her. It treated her with dignity. At the end of the day, Nick doesn't make Olandria valuable. Olandria was already valuable. Nick's just a reflection of how she deserves to be treated. And that's the healing energy she was talking about. So let's circle back. When Olandria said she was healing the world in a sense, she wasn't claiming to be Martin Luther King Jr. in a bikini. She was speaking to the power of visibility, to the weight of history, to the way her love story challenges the lies we've been told about who deserves desire, who deserves tenderness, who deserves to be seen. The backlash says more about people's discomfort than about her words. Because healing doesn't always mean curing the sickness. Sometimes it just means offering a glimpse of what wholeness could look like. And that's what Nicolandria is, a vision of love that disrupts the old story. So what do you guys think? Is Nicolandria just another reality TV couple? Or do you think their love really is shifting the narrative around Black women and desirability? Drop your thoughts below and don't forget to like and subscribe and hit that bell so you don't miss the next deep dive.
So I have to ask you guys, what is it like now post Love Island?
Amazing. Great. How are you?
Amazing. Is it crazy being one of the only couples left from the season? What could you tell us about your love story now?